How you doing today, Nick?
Doing great, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing well. We are coming into the end of the year here. It's the holiday season.
That's
Got
right.
about
Snow's on the
six,
ground.
got about 6 inches of snow this week outside my window. For clarity's sake, that's enough to be annoying and have to get out the snowblower, but not enough to actually like feel like it's really so.
There you go.
So the other thing that happens this time of year, holiday season, New Year's resolutions, and what we like to call in the investment world prediction season.
Yeah, that's right. Are we making some predictions today? Is that what's going on?
Well, we're going to make a few predictions, and we're going to talk about, the industry of making predictions that we see out there. And this morning, getting ready for this, I just did a quick Google search of, you know, stock market outlook and predictions for 2021. And headlines came up like 2021 outlook, the road to recovery from the Capital Group, their brains behind the American funds. Another one was year ahead 2021, a year of renewal from UBS Wealth Management. They're a big player out there.
Hmm.
Um, Nuveen's 2021 investment outlook, dark tunnel, bright light was
Oh,
their
wow. I
title.
like that one.
Yeah, yeah. So that's from Nuveen, big municipal bond fund managers. On the other side of the equation, I got headlines that said move your money before 2021 from Investing Outlook. Now they don't say in the headline move it from where or to where, just move your money.
Yeah.
and
Wow. I wonder if they get a commission.
right. And then there's everyone's favorite, the Motley Fool, their favorite all-in stock for
Yeah.
2021,
It's
all in.
amazing. They come up with an all-in stock every year. It's quite
Well,
remarkable.
they actually come up with one every few days if you follow their
Yeah.
minutes.
There you go.
So, and then from the Outsider Club, whoever they are, this headline came up: "A market crash is coming. Are you prepared?"
There you go.
So, kind of both sides of the equation, the good and the bad. Everybody's making predictions because it's the time of year, and I get questions from clients like that are usually along the lines of, so what are the folks that you listen to? What are they saying? I
Right.
think it's pretty common. You probably get those too, and you know, it's not that we avoid these articles or ignore them. I do read a lot of them and try to synthesize the information to have
Hmm.
an idea of what the thought process is.
Hmm.
But 20 years into this, I've seen, it comes. They can't all be right, right? Half of
Right.
them are half of them are bullish and half of them are bearish, and you know, uh, like the old cliche says, a stopped clock is right twice a day, right?
There you
So
go.
if we wait long enough, they'll be right, but you just never know when or who.
Yeah, so it's a couple things on that, I would say. One is number one, you're not getting published anywhere unless you have a big bold prediction headline claim. So I have not read any. I don't know if you found it in your Google search that said, "Hey, we might do, 1 or 2 or 3% next year in the market."
Right. No, they were all bold. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Uh,
And you know, part of it is there's no downside to making these predictions
Exactly.
for these folks because there's no accountability behind it.
Yeah.
Um, if they're right, great. They look smart. They'll be on talk shows next year, and everyone will rely on them for next year's prediction. But if they're wrong, usually if they're one of the bigger firms, well known, there's plenty of reasons why they were wrong, and they'll just explain it away, or
Right.
you'll just never hear from them again.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's funny when I kind of stopped believing in predictions. There was an investment manager, I won't name them, that was or worked for a specific investment management firm, and he basically said, "Our CEO from the top down says if you're going to make bold predictions, make a lot of
yeah, right,
them,
right,
because they'll forget about the ones that didn't hit, but the
right,
ones that do."
right, right. Nate Silver, the guy behind the 538 company that does a lot of election and sports handicapping, wrote a really good book called The Signal and the Noise, and that was one of his main premises, that most of these predictions are coming from a place of zero accountability. You just have
Right.
to keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Um,
especially in today's age, you can post anything anywhere.
live in the age of content, as we well demonstrate. So yeah, the main prediction is that some of these will be right and some of them will be wrong. So, but I thought it'd be fun for us to make our own predictions for the year. So we got a few of those.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So my number one bold prediction for the year is something will happen this year that will make you as an individual think you should sell all your investments and just get out of the market. Something will happen.
Sure. Yeah. Happens every year, really, if you think about it. And it's one of those things that, you're not going to grab any attention with a headline like this, but it's certainly something that people need to think about and prepare for, because, there's always something that happens that makes you second guess yourself, especially when it involves investments, because unfortunately, as humans, we can't take the emotions out of investing. And so at some point your emotions are going to get tugged on and you're going to have second thoughts.
Right. And, just think back over the course of the headlines from the last 12 months, election chaos, rioting and looting in the streets, on top of a global pandemic. And we saw extreme highs and extreme lows in the market, ending up back at extreme highs. That's just the normal. This was an extreme year for that, but that's the normal course of events during any given year. Is you're going to have plenty of news that makes you think that society and the economy are spinning off their axis and going to crash. And sometimes the market reacts to that for sure, but in the long run, the short-term headlines don't really matter all that much.
Yeah, we got a ton of that this year, from starting off the year in January feeling pretty good about ourselves and the faint whispers of this coronavirus to the what was March and April, and then all the way back up again. And it was one of those years that, depending on where you asked me in the year, I would have given you a completely different answer of where we would have probably ended up, and as far as my prediction. And so 3 or 4 times this year I was absolutely wrong, and 3 or 4 times I was right. So and that's in one year, which is an extreme example, like you said. But being right or wrong doesn't matter as much as controlling your emotions and having a plan and sticking through with what you want to do and what's best for you long term. Because if there's any prediction that we can make, it's that what happens to you in the short term isn't going to affect you long term, as long as you don't make emotionally based decisions on what happens in the short term.
Yeah. And so to all those market pundits out there predicting an exact return for, I saw a couple, I didn't add them to my list here earlier, that were predicting specifically 26% or 17.8% for the Standard & Poor's 500. My answer to that is, you know what? The market's going to be up and it's going to be down. I can guarantee it.
Yeah. That's my favorite one every year. You're going to make money, you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
Be prepared for it.
Yep. And I think about one of my early mentors in the business saying, his favorite question from clients was, will the market be up or down? And he would just say, yes. The market be up or down? Absolutely. So, we just need to be ready to roll with that and focus on the big picture. And I love it when people try to work out specific expectations for the market, but it isn't going to happen.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why in our planning process we go through and do stress testing, not because we think that it's going to happen or that we're predicting that it's going to happen, but if it does happen, right, the market's going to be up and down. We want to help you mentally prepare for that. And some of the best advice that I've gotten in my career that was not related to the market but has a very distinct effect is you can't go where your mind hasn't already traveled. So if you don't know what a market correction is going to look like to your portfolio, then when it happens, it's going to be a lot harder to stomach than if you've already kind of thought in your mind, okay, if I lost 30% in my portfolio, that would equate to $30,000. And now I'm starting to think that through so that when it happens, it's not a complete surprise.
Right, right. I really like that. And if you think back to this spring and having very hard conversations with clients during, what was a very scary market meltdown, but being able to say, look, this is still within the realm of what we thought was possible when we put your portfolio together. We didn't build the portfolio thinking the sun was always going to be shining and the market was always going to go up. We built it saying, most of the time that's what will happen, but there's going to be these times. And,
Right.
you know, um, that's always a reassurance from our point of view. And I think that by and large, one of my main takeaways from 2020 was that investors in general and our clients in particular learned a heck of a lot in 2008, 2009, and didn't repeat a lot of the same mistakes.
Absolutely. And advisors too, right?
Right.
As much as I started in 2006. And so there were some times in 2008 where, I hadn't made anybody any money um, since I started in the business, but going through that experience and going out and getting out the other side of it. And
Right.
the people that didn't panic, that stayed the course, were the ones that made their money back. The people that made changes were the ones that, never did.
Right. Right. So our next bold prediction, there's going to be some company stock that you're going to hear a great story about, and it's going to do really, really well, and you're going to be kicking yourself that you didn't buy it early, and you may even be tempted to buy it late. Fear of missing out in the stock market is always a real issue.
Absolutely. So, and especially in today's day and age when that's thrown out in front of you all the time. And my common thought about it personally has been, by the time I hear about it, it's probably too late.
Right. Unless you've got insider knowledge before the stock market moves on the news, which if you do, I don't want to know about it. Please do not call me. Don't tell me, hey, I just got the scoop on, what General Motors earnings are going to look like, because I don't want to know. And by the time those surprises are out there in the news, the ship has sailed. The market moves almost instantaneously on that news. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and we did a whole podcast just a couple of weeks ago on why we don't recommend individual stocks. So we don't need to go too far into that. But when I see those headlines from the Motley Fool saying we're going all in on, they might as well say we're going all in on Black 21 at the roulette wheel.
Right.
From my point.
Absolutely. So, that's another one of those where, they don't have any real, they're not actually putting their money into these stocks. So they don't really have any real consequences of telling you it's the best stock.
Well, and that's a great point. What they are putting their money into is advertising to you to get you to buy their newsletter so that you can use their recommendations. And all they really care about is whether they get that subscription
right
or not.
Exactly.
So next bold prediction, more on the planning side, you're going to face some unexpected expenses sometime during the year. And, I can't tell you what the market's going to do, but I can tell you that the odds of your hot water heater dying or your muffler falling off your car aren't that remote, right?
Right. Absolutely. And, having an emergency fund is probably the lamest investment strategy one could ever think of, but it is probably one of the most important, if not the most important, because what it allows you to do is your investments to do what they can do, and you to be able to go through and not be catastrophically affected by unexpected expenses, because they always happen. And so, yes, it's not sexy, it's not cool, they're not writing newsletters about the Motley Fool, but it is, your chance to really improve your financial standing immensely by maintaining an emergency fund and being prepared for unexpected expenses.
Right. We always end up we always end up bringing emergency funds into these discussions at some point.
Yeah, it's the financial planner in us, right? And so, it's one of those things. It's not the cool kid on the street, but man, is it effective.
So yeah, the thing that will happen, plans will change. Your goals. We had a lot in 2020, probably more than most years, as people had to recalibrate what they plan to do. But we always emphasize flexibility. We do plan. And being able to roll with it. Again, that's part of living within your means and having an emergency fund available. The future will be what it is, and it will be unpredictable.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And another one of those not very cool, not very sexy investment strategies is agility, right? So being able to, change course as your goals and as the things that you have planned ultimately change. Because as good as we are at financial planners in creating and laying the groundwork for a plan, what we can't control is the changes, right? So I have yet to be perfect on every single thing that we put into a financial plan as far as your goals and what's going to happen and what the rates of return are going to be. I'm never going to be perfect on that. And so as a financial planner and creating a financial plan, you want to make sure that you can change course when it makes sense to do that.
Yes. So this last one, I'm willing to stake my career on this one, and I hope you would be too.
I like it.
So this is my bold prediction. Sound financial principles will be more important than any stock market prediction that you hear. And,
I like it. I'm in.
That's not just that includes the emergency fund and the budget and the other things we've talked about, but it also includes having a diversified portfolio, having a portfolio that was built to meet your goals and that you can stick with come heck or high water, come the plus 17% where the Standard & Poor's 500 is right now, but also the minus 34% where it was in March last year. And sticking to the principles and the long-term outlook will serve you well.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where, the market's going to do what it's going to do on a day over day basis, on a month over month basis, on a year over year basis. And whether you predict that correctly or not has little to no bearing on your overall financial plan, to the point that you really don't even need to be paying attention to the value of the market or the value of your portfolio if you have your plan done right. And if you've done the not cool, not sexy parts of it right, that's what's going to lead you to success, not necessarily what the market's doing, what the value is at any given moment in time. And unfortunately, the world we live in, the information age, we've got news channels that are on 24/7 about the markets that aren't even open 24/7.
Right.
So, they're talking about what the futures are doing before the market even opens. And why is that important? Well, for 90% of people, 99% of people, it's not. For individuals, it's not important.
Right. And building on that, you can not only check the news and see the market instantaneously. In a lot of situations, you can jump online and see your portfolio change in real time as news unfolds. So if you really want to drive yourself crazy, the tools are all out there to help you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And back in 2008, 2009, I remember telling a couple clients I was going to come over to their house with clippers and cut their cable TV, and and put them on annual statements if they couldn't handle the news flow. So just keep that in mind. We should do a discussion one of these days on the research Vanguard has done. So now these companies have great statistics about how often people log into their accounts,
right,
and things, and how their returns correlate with how often they look. And I'm not surprised, but I think the average individual would be surprised to see that the more often you could actually predict whether their return will be higher or lower in the market based on how often they log in, and it is inevitably lower that the average person that logs in often, I'm not stating this very well, but the average person that logs into their account more often does worse than the market because they make moves based on the day to day.
Oh yeah, I 100% would believe that. And then the opposite moves, right? So when the market's down, they're like, "Oh man, I got to make a change. I got to sell something that's losing." And really, you should be buying more of what's losing. And so
Right.
that's the emotional, roller coaster that we go on when it comes to investing. And the flip side of that too is that it's so much easier to not only access this stuff, but to trade, right? So, in today's day and age, I could go on and trade something in about 5 seconds after, log in, trade, done, where that's not always how it's been. And so that kind of compounds the problem a little bit in terms of your ability to actually take concrete action based on emotions. There's not a separation like there was before. And that's one of the reasons why we both firmly believe that you should work with a financial advisor and a planner that you can, talk to and discuss about these things, because we earn our money when things aren't going well, and we can kind of talk people off the ledge and talk to them about the long term and the plan and all the boring stuff that they've done that is going to allow them to not make knee-jerk reactions and make changes, because it's not going to affect their plan over the long term, and being ready for that. Not because we can tell you what the market's going to do or make a prediction that's going to come true when it comes to the market.
Yep. Yep. I couldn't agree more. And so those are our bold predictions for 2021.
Yeah, we really went out on a limb there. I like it.
I know. So, all right, let's see what happens.
Yes, we will. We're probably not getting any of these predictions published in a major newspaper, but I have a lot better feeling about our predictions than some of the ones that are out there right now. So,
so happy New Year, and we'll see what comes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dave. This was a good one.